A man is chosen by his world's creator to undertake a momentous mission before an apocalyptic flood cleanses the world. This is my review of Noah. So Noah came out this year during March, and the reason I didn't go see it was because I didn't know what to expect for this movie. I mean, I know it was the story of Noah, so I knew that there was going to be floods and everything. But what I'm trying to say is I didn't know if it was going to be any good or not. But when the movie came out during March, the general consensus of the movie was that it was good. So I waited for it to come out on DVD and Blu-ray, and I rented it last month. And I have to tell you guys that I thought that Noah was a really good movie. The good points. I think the best thing coming out of this movie was the directing by Darren Aronofsky. For those of you that don't know, Aronofsky has also directed movies like Pi, The Fountain, Requiem for a Dream, what else? Black Swan, The Wrestler. And only over 2 movies I saw that were directed by Aronofsky before I watched Noah, War, Pi, and The Wrestler. So when I went into this movie, I didn't know what to expect since I thought that Pi was sort of a bad movie, but I thought The Wrestler was a terrific movie. And I will say that the first 20 minutes or so of this movie was a little bit iffy with the directing, since it didn't seem like Aronofsky knew where he wanted to direct this movie into. But I think that he knew his footing after the first 20 minutes, and then he went along with it, and I thought he did an incredible job. And I think that his directing mixed with the cinematography was done well, since there were moments in this movie that were really visually stunning, and that I thought were splendid. The next good point would have to be the writing, because obviously the writer, or I can't remember if it was a writer or writers, but whoever wrote the movie had to take leniency on the original story of Noah. Because there are things in this movie that are from the original story of Noah, and there are things in this movie that aren't, definitely not in the original story of Noah for sure. But I think that even though the writer or writers did take leniency from the original story, I think that it came out good for me. I thought that some of the acting by some of the cast members was top-notch. And those cast members would be Russell Crowe, Ray Winstone, Jennifer Connelly, and Emma Watson. But I thought that the rest of the acting by the rest of the cast members, including Anthony Hopkins, was good. For the most part, I thought that the visual effects were done well. Because there are some shots that, yeah, you can tell they're visual effects, but you can tell that there was work done with those visual effects. And as for other shots, I thought that there were some things that were real. And what I mean by that is that I thought there were some forests, or there was a few other things that were real, but I actually found out later on that those were visual effects, and I was like, oh man, that was cool. And if you can make me think that something in the movie was real, but it was really visual effects, then he did something good. The production and the costume designs were good, but there's not really much to say about the costume design, since even though I thought it was good, there's not really anything that stood out. But I will say that the production design was good at creating an arc in this movie. And the 2 final good points I have to say about this movie are the editing after the first 20 minutes of this movie, and the sound design in this movie. And I'll say that the sound design was good because I was watching this movie at home on my TV, and I don't have surround sound, so I was just hearing the sounds from the speakers on my TV. And I thought that the sound design was done well, since the sounds that were coming out of the speakers of the TV were resonating in the room where my TV is, and I thought it sounded perfect. The bad points. Like I said, I think the worst thing coming out of this movie was the first 20 minutes or so, because of the directing by Darren Aronofsky and the writing and the editing, it made it seem like the movie didn't know where it wanted to go. Because it seemed to me anyway, that I was trying to take its first steps, but it was stumbling every time it was trying to take its first steps. But then after the 20 minutes or so of the beginning of the movie, I think it found its steps, and then it was starting to run. The next bad thing about this movie is some of the acting by Logan Lerman. Now, there were a few scenes in this movie where I thought the acting by Logan Lerman was good, but in other moments I thought there were scenes with other actors where, to me anyway, it seemed like something was off with Logan Lerman and his acting. Because at points it seems like he's sort of underacting, or at other moments it seems like he's making this different emotion than he should be. And when those scenes came in the movie, I sort of got taken out of the movie. I guess the final bad point I have to say about this movie is some of the visual effects with the animals. Like I said before, I thought the visual effects were done for the most part because there were scenes where I thought the visual effects were great or where the visual effects made me confused as to what was real and what was not. But when the visual effects came with the animals, like there were some animals that I thought were done well, but there were other animals that seemed off a little bit. And the reason for that was because they looked fake, since it seemed like some of the visual effects could have been improved on. And I find that bad since the rest of the movie had really good visual effects, but when it comes to this scene, it seems like they took the day off or something. So my rating for Noah is going to be a 3.5 out of 4 stars. I think it was a really good movie. The directing by Darren Aronofsky was done well because it seemed like he knew where he wanted this movie to go. I thought the writing was done well too. The movie had top-notch acting for the most part. And for religious people out there, I think you're either going to hate or like this movie. But I think if you're going to watch this movie, you have to keep in mind that this is just a movie. And not only that, but it's an adaptation of the original story of Noah. Alright, that was my review of Noah. Hope you guys liked it. And other than that, guys, that's it.